Hey guys, Holly here, back with another car video, and today I want to talk about vegetarianism and the different types of vegetarianism and why not people do it or do not do it, follow or do not follow the vegetarian diet. So I have tried vegetarianism. I have tried every branch of vegetarianism that there is as well. So basically you have three branches. You have semi-vegetarian, which means for most people that means that you consume poultry and fish only in the form of meat, like chicken, turkey, quail, whatever, and then fish. So then you have pescivegitarianism, which is where you only eat fish. And then you have selective vegetarianism, which is that's kind of like people that just pick and choose accordingly, which there's nothing wrong with that. So really there are actually quite a few different types of vegetarianism. I mean, in my opinion, semi-vegetarianism, I wouldn't even necessarily consider that being a vegetarian personally. So there are types of, semi-vegetarians where you just don't eat red meat, or you just don't eat pork, or you don't eat pork or red meat. So, I mean, it really just depends on the person. So I've tried every type. I was able to sustain pretty much every type except strict vegetarianism, where you don't consume any meat at all. I was able to do that for, I want to say it was about a couple of months, but I feel like for my body I do actually need a minimal amount of meat in my diet. Now, a lot of days I don't even consume meat at all. In fact, sometimes up to half the time I'll go the whole day and not consume any meat. But I would say I probably consume, 3 or 4 days a week I'll consume 1 to 2 servings of meat. So, and in small amounts, I don't eat a whole lot of it. Now, as far as red meat and pork are concerned, I don't eat a whole lot of that. I do like a lot of fish. Primarily is my favorite meat. Fish and, maybe some turkey. I'm okay with chicken, but chicken is just so common and so mainstream, I get really burned out on it. So I've never been a super big fan of red meat and pork. Now, pork and red meat do have their perks, because red meat is very high in iron and B vitamins. And then you've got pork, which is very high in a lot of minerals and nutrients as well. So I used to hate pork. I used to be so against pork, but then I kind of learned about all the different nutrients that are in pork, and so therefore, I do consume it in small amounts from time to time at this point. So, but this is just what I do. So when it comes to me, I do follow, a low meat diet. I don't eat a lot of meat. I would not call myself a vegetarian of any sort, but I'm just selective in my meat, and if I am going to consume meat, I personally will get very good, high quality, sustainable meat, free range if at all possible, grass fed, things of that nature. I try to get organic and just the highest quality, most natural meat that I can get. So, and that can get really expensive, which is another reason why I don't consume a whole lot of meat, because that gets really expensive really quick. So I like things like bison, things like deer on occasion, which is red meat, but yeah, I mean, sometimes, some wheat and ground turkey. I don't eat a whole lot of ground beef, but I do on occasion. So that's just what I do personally. Now, back to the different types of vegetarianism. It's just different for everyone. You really have to see what works for you and your body. And the reason why a lot of people go vegetarian is because they simply just care about animals, and they don't want animals to be hurt, which is really the main, in my opinion, the main reason why people go vegetarian, which is another reason why I only eat as much meat as I feel like I absolutely have to have. I don't eat any kind of unnecessary meat, because that animal died, for me to consume it. So that's kind of where I stand with that. So Then we have, let's see, where do I want to go with this? My mind is kind of conjumbled. I've been doing a lot of moving, so my brain, I have a lot of brain fog right now. So yeah, and then I am a really big fan of being a pesky vegetarian. I'm a really big fan of pesky vegetarianism. So I will throw that out there, and that's just my personal opinion. So another reason why people will go vegetarian is because they feel like it's healthier. Some people legitimately feel like, you know, less meat will help them lose weight. In my opinion, I don't really think that's true. But I think for some people, if you're someone that eats too much meat and your meat is a huge part of your diet, that can lead to high cholesterol and high blood pressure, in my opinion. I'm not a doctor, but this is just my opinion. Too much meat is definitely not a good thing. I don't think it's good for people at all to eat too much meat. So I feel like that can lead to a lot of health problems and issues with your heart and your blood and your circulatory system. So a lot of studies have shown people that are vegetarians or semi-vegetarians or whatever tend to have lower blood pressure, lower cholesterol, etc. So it's definitely something you want to take into consideration. Now, if you're going on like a ketogenic diet temporarily, which I don't recommend doing that long term. Matter of fact, I honestly don't recommend doing it, period, but that's just my opinion. So if you're going to do something like that, you're going to need more meat and more protein, which you want to get protein regardless, but you can get protein from so many other different sources. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why, the main reason why a lot of people don't want to go vegetarian of any sort is because they feel like they're not going to get enough protein. So these are some of the cons of, you know, being a vegetarian, some reasons in which people would not do it. So that would be, you know, like me, my body just can't sustain a completely meatless diet 24/7. So I go with a low meat diet. Some people, their body requires, you know, just requires meat. And I think a lot of that comes from our ancestry, in my opinion. I think our genetics and what we, you know, what we come from. I mean, some of us come from, you know, our ancestors ate more grains and more fruits and vegetables, you know, and some of us, you know, our ancestors ate more meat. So it's kind of just, it's an interesting concept. When you really think about that, you know, it's hard to go way back and really think about our ancestors, but even if you go back 2, 3, or maybe even 4 generations and just kind of see, you know, if you can find out what kind of information, like what did your great-grandparents eat and their parents, you know, what was their diet like? So you can kind of get a really cool idea from that. So yeah, I mean, there's really not a whole lot more that I have to say about vegetarianism. I recommend it for people that want to do it and feel like they can sustain it. I think it's great. But vegetarians do still eat eggs, and you can still eat eggs and milk, dairy products, cheese. So I do still consume all of those things in moderation. So, you know, and that's what makes vegetarianism so much easier than veganism. So I'll be doing another video on veganism, and I'll also talk about, you know, like paleo. We'll talk about Atkins, talk about, there's so many different diets. Keto, probably do a whole entire video on keto. And but there are a lot of really popular diets out there right now, and I'm sure I won't be able to get into all of them because there are just way too many, but some of the more popular ones that are really popular right now, I would really like to talk about and address my opinions on those diets. So yeah, you know, and if you can't go vegetarian and you don't feel like that's something that's right for you, you know, that's totally okay, because we're all in our own bodies and we have our own bodily needs and things that our bodies, you know, we have to be intuitive. It's important to intuitively eat and intuitively listen to your body. And, you know, when it comes to your diet, think like, what do I need? What does my body need? And over time, it'll become second nature, and you'll know what to eat, what not to eat, how much to eat, so, and when to eat. So all these things are individual to each person. So I'll be getting into a whole lot more of that later. But thank you for watching, and stay tuned for a lot more videos about different types of diets.